fated to arrive at exactly the right time that they will be remembered as pretty good for a video game adaptation, even though they're kind of bad by the standards of regular movies. Hello, everyone. My name's Maxie.
I'm Dan.
And this is Video Games, the Movie, the Podcast. This month, we'll be discussing Orientalism, the 1978 book of political and literary criticism by Edward Said.
Funny you mention that, because that's something we did for Season 5 of Pot of Greed.
Wait, genuinely?
Yeah, like, Sarah, for like a couple episodes, Sarah would like open an episode talking about like a couple chapters from the book. It was great.
Well, then I suppose you are in a very good position to discuss the movie this month, which is Prince of Persia. I think it came out in like 2010?
Yeah, 2010. First Disney movie we've talked about. Not talking about... Unless one of these things we're going over was like later acquired, I think this is the first thing with at the very least the Disney intro.
I think this was like legit in, I don't know if you'd call it in-house. This has Disney written all over it, and I'll tell you why I know that. It's because they put Captain Jack Sparrow in this movie.
Yeah, they did. The character in this movie who is Jack Sparrow is pretty fun, but he is just Jack Sparrow. What are you even playing this month?
Let's see. So the other day I picked up Not for Broadcast, which is that game where you, like edit the news in real time. Weird game. Plays well. Story is definitely gripping. I have no idea what its political stance is. And normally I'd be like, okay, maybe it just doesn't have one. But no, I feel like it definitely does. But I don't know. It goes back and forth a lot. It may be kind of like Disco Elysium, where it's just kind of disillusioned with everybody, but doesn't work as well for me as that.
Right.
Before that, I was playing Atelier Ayesha, The Alchemist of Dusk. The Alchemist of Dusk, not Ducks. That's from a series of JRPGs that are very focused on item crafting. They got a pretty in-depth system for it. And before that, I was playing through Tunic, which is kind of like a cross between Legend of Zelda and Dark Souls with some of the decryption sort of weird meta puzzles from Fez. That one's pretty fun.
Let's see. Let me think. So, in the month of April, there's basically been one game that's been dominating overall, which is Final Fantasy XIV, because some of my friends have been getting into it, and I'm like, you know what, I need to get back into this game and progress through it. Let's see, I just got to the start of Stormblood. I'm very happy with my Hrothgar Warrior of Light. He's a big blue and white lion tiger man. Let's see. I've also been telling myself to like play some other games and not just make that the one game. So I've also been playing. I've been replaying the original Cook Serve Delicious.
That one's so fucking good.
Yeah, it rules.
Did that one have all the weird, like, alternate universe post-apocalyptic stuff in that, or was that introduced in 2?
I feel like there might be a couple things, but it's more, but 2 is the one where it really, like, doubles down on it. Cook Serve Delicious one just has the best, spam emails ever written in a video game. It's also very interesting to go back since I've played the previous games, and now that I'm, like, much more experienced, it's neat going in and being able to regularly do a perfect day. I can see for an experienced player, it could be a bit of a slog because, like, progressing does require, like, you have to do 20 days of service before you get your next star.
Yeah.
But it's good. I love it. I also, let me think, is there anything else I've, like, dipped into? Let's see, I did at some point boot up some 40k games, because I was thinking about Warhammer 40k. I booted up Mechanicus. It seems nice, but very janky. Like, there's some neat ideas going on, but I couldn't quite grok with it. I also, I did find out something that's cool about the game. So, in Mechanicus, everyone is, like, voiced by they're all, like, tech priests, so they're, like, fucked up cyborg dudes, and they all talk in, like, this weird computer simlish stuff. But then, like, eventually you meet, like, Necrons, and they just, like, speak in fully voiced English. So I think that's just, like, kind of a cool twist. Also, I booted up, like, the original Dawn of War, played 2 missions, and that's it. Yeah, that's it for games. Do we want to get into this movie?
Yeah, I think we do. So I can't speak to the series Prince of Persia very much. I never really had any history with any of those games, so at least on my part, I'm coming to this one just kind of in and of itself.
Yeah, same here. I'm not super familiar with the Prince of Persia series.
And let me tell you, it made a great first impression on me, where it started with these, like, important words appearing on a mostly black background, and you know they're written in papyrus.
Oh, it is so good. Papyrus is truly as a lost font. It's like talking about destiny and stuff. And we get some like backstory. So there's this king of Persia named Shahraman, or Shahraman. He's got a brother named Nizam. He's got like 2 sons. One's named Tusk. The other one I always forget the name of. I have.
Let me look it up. It's somewhere in my notes.
Yeah. Skimming through this.
Not Dastan. That's the main guy. Garsiv.
Garsiv, yes. But eventually, Shahraman adopts a 3rd son named Dastan. Unlike the rest of his family, he was an orphan boy that he found in the streets.
During the opening scene from Aladdin.
Yeah, it's the opening scene from Aladdin. He nearly gets his hand chopped off after, like, stealing some fruit. But Shahraman stops him, adopts the boy because, damn, what a good kid. He was like taking the fall for, like, another kid who was like stealing fruit, I think. Or something like that. We get some parkour. And then we cut to the present day of this film. The Dastan and his brothers are part of, like, some war effort. I think this is just, they're, like, advancing on the Persian borderlands and come across this city called Alamut.
So, interesting historical fact here. Alamut is actually a real region in Persia, and for a while it was apparently the seat of power of the assassins. And I mention that because the importance and role of this city named after a real place in real Persia drove me completely fucking insane for the rest of the movie. I was trying so hard to figure out when this is supposed to take place, and the conclusion I ended up coming to is they didn't care. Why should I?
It's fantasy. It's a fantasy world. They just use some real life stuff a little bit.
So something confusing I'm realizing on rereading my notes is the reason that they're advancing on Alamut is that it is allegedly supplying weapons to a warlord named Kosh.
Right.
Who never comes up again for the rest of the movie. We never encounter him. As far as I can tell, he might not even exist. He does not play a factor in the plot other than this inciting event.
Right.
So,
there's like some contention about this because like Sharman does not want Alamut attacked or anything because it's a holy city. What religion? We won't tell you. And we like we mentioned, we've got the weapons shown off. I think not Dostana. I think Nazam just opens up a big crate and weapons pile out.
Mm-hmm. Nazam, by the way, played by the venerable Ben Kingsley.
Oh, and Dostan played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, the whitest fucking guy they could have gotten for this.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like they cast most of the characters who are very clearly Middle Eastern, with entirely white people. Almost entirely. I'm just gonna quickly look at IMDb to see if I can even put on the almost.
I'm sure that some of the secondary characters...
Yeah. I think some of them might not be white. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at these names. I'm also looking at Alfred Molina's IMDb picture. He looks great.
Wait, Alfred Molina is in this?
Yes, he's the character you referred to earlier. He's Sheik Amar.
Of course.
So anyways, there's we get to see this princess who's in the city. Her name's Tamina. She has there's this painting ceremony where she gets this important sigil written on her on the back of her hand. And she's praying in the high temple. Meanwhile, also we do see Dostan getting in a shirtless tussle. I just wanted to note that.
Yes. So the whole thing is that instead of a proper royal army or whatever, Dostan just has a bunch of ruffians and ne'er-do-wells who respect him as his personal force.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the bulk of the Persian army assaults Alamut from the main gate. It isn't really going well for them. So Dostan is okay, we're gonna go in through the side. And there's this genuinely pretty cool bit where his infantry has a big pole that he climbs up and they lift him up. And then the crossbowmen fire bolts into the castle wall to serve as handholds.
Mm-hmm. They sneak in, and he's fighting dudes. He's parkouring. He pulls up a portcullis so they can get in.
He uses a guy as a door stopper to keep it open.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees that the Alamushan forces are redeploying to protect the side entrance. So he sets a bunch of oil out and then sets it on fire.
Yes.
Which doesn't deter the Persian army, because I guess horses and camels are immune to flame. Like how in Elden Ring, if you're on Torrent, you can't get poisoned by the swamps.
Right. They just run right through it. Their hooves are very strong. There's some fighting, some parkour. Pretty much any action scene in this movie is going to be very parkour focused, and I do appreciate that since they're very platforming focused games.
I do think the blocking is usually pretty good, but it has that problem. We run into this a lot, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Too many cuts. I cannot focus on anything.
It's very hard to follow what's going on sometimes.
This movie would have done so well with just, one instance of a long uncut sequence where we just follow Dastan just going for it, you know?
Yeah. Dastan fights a guy, and like he gets this weird, cool item he's carrying. It's a really cool looking dagger.
Mm-hmm. This guy like was given the dagger by the princess to like secret it out of the city, and like he immediately gets bodied. It's really good.
Yeah. And like they take over the city. They occupy the city, and then they head like. Is it Tuss that meets with Tamina or Dastan?
That's Tuss. Yeah.
Tuss. Tuss like confronts Tamina, and like we find out that this city has no forges. They couldn't have made the weapons. Sure, we'll go with that. And Prince Tuss wants to marry Tamina.
He is basically extorting her for the lives of her people, which is like real cool, man.
Dastan gives him the cool knife. I'm just gonna keep calling it the cool knife.
No, he wants the cool knife, but then Nazim shows up and he's like, no, let him keep the knife. Be cool.
Yeah.
After that, they head back to the capital, I guess, and the king's really pissed off. Ben Kingsley is just staring ominously in the background a lot. And I think this is where I start to realize, hey, I think this movie is like a war in Iraq allegory.
Oh. Yeah, I guess it is.
Because there's like this, they got weapons shipments. They don't got any forges. They got hidden forges. We gotta keep looking.
Well, but in this case, the king is pretty mad about this. Nizam is just watching them argue. I feel like my notes are a little unclear here. So I've got here that Tamina cleans off her body paint, and Dastan fucks up a backflip.
I do remember him fucking up the backflip. Basically what I have here is that Tuss and Dastan pal around for a while, and then I remember Tuss asks him to go to the king to, like, ask for his approval on Tuss marrying Tamina, and apparently, I don't remember this part, but it's in my notes, Tuss is like, hey, if he doesn't let me marry her, can you just, like, kill her for me?
Yes, he does say that. But
this is insane, right? Like,
yeah.
Why is this in the movie?
Whoa. Why? Yeah. It's
like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If Tuss were the main villain, I would get it as characterization, even though it's, like, kind of ham-handed and unnecessary. But we later learn that, like, he's not. So, I don't know why they're making him this much of an asshole in the first act.
Well, that's how redemption arcs work, of course. You just make them do bad things that have nothing to do with how they repent.
Of course.
The king, Sharman congratulates Dastan for his work. He has this bit where it's like, you know, a good man would have done something to minimize the casualties.
Yeah.
But a great man wouldn't have had the attack happen at all. And like, at some point, like, Tuss, like, gives Dastan this prayer robe that was, like, taken from Alamut, and it's supposed to be given to Charman.
As a gift. Dastan gives it to him, and then the robe starts, like, steaming?
Yeah, sizzling. It's like he's getting burned alive. I don't know if they put something in there, like some sort of, like, poison.
It seems like it was poisoned with acid or whatever.
Yeah.
So...
Also,
go on.
Worth noting, before this happens, like, Charmin says, Tuss, you have enough wives. Dastan, you don't have any wives. Take this one. But it's all for naught since he gets acid burned to death.
And now everybody's like, oh, Dastan murdered the king for some reason. So he and Tamina are forced to flee the city. There's a little, like, it's not really a chase scene because they're not being effectively chased. It feels like a real wasted opportunity. I feel like you could have some fun with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, they steal a horse. They get out of the city. After they make camp for the night, there's this bit where Tamina pretends like she's into Dastan and then, like, snatches the dagger from his belt. There's this short fight scene between the two of them. It's decent, keeps the action moving forward. But then, when Dastan, like, gets the dagger back, he presses a button in the hilt.
Yeah, it's, like, right on the hilt.
And, time starts moving backwards as his body gets all glowy and dissolves into sand. Honestly, this effect is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the time travel effects in this.
Yeah. He's like watching it from a third person perspective of the fight going back. And then he ends up, like, having to do it again.
Yeah, it's so fucking funny. He just completely fucks up his first jump back. And then after the second one, he, like, manages to prevent it from escalating, but now there's no sand in the hilt, and I guess it's fueled by magic sand.
Yeah, it's fueled by magic sand. Like, later he tries to put, like, regular sand in it, but it doesn't do anything. And Tamina explains to him that it's a knife that turns back time, and only the holder can, like, know what happened. And Dastan realizes, if someone had this knife, they could, like, reverse they could, like, do something, reverse time and do it again. You could be, like, a super general or whatever. Then, I believe we get, like, a quick cut of, Tuss being declared the new king. Cut back, Dastan is, like, putting these, like, he's, like, putting cloth on the horse hooves to make the tracks less obvious. I don't know if this is a thing that works or not. But, they have to, like, get back to Alamut for more sand, I think. And they have to cut through the Valley of the Slaves, which is full of murderous cutthroats.
And now there's two more of them, because, like, as soon as they get there, Tamina plays dead, and then when Dastan goes to check on her, she just knocks him out, leaves him for dead.
Yeah.
And now's when Captain Jack Sparrow shows up.
Yep.
So this is really weird. Like, this guy, Shikamaru, and his bandit crew are menacing Dastan for a bit, but then he befriends her by, I guess, selling Tamina into slavery?
I don't know. I guess. I don't know if... I guess it works. It's like, Tamina's like a slave for this next scene and then isn't anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't really work because Shikamaru's like, yeah, thanks for the girl. By the way, I know that you're the prince who ran away from the capital, like, yesterday, so, I'm actually gonna turn you in for the reward money. And, I guess there's, like, the Sheik has this whole illegal ostrich racing thing?
Yeah, he's got like these ostriches, presumably imported from Australia, and, like, he, like, does these races. He explains that, like, the whole, like, idea around the Valley of the Slaves is completely made up. It's just to, like, keep, like, government officials from coming near, so, he doesn't have to worry about, like, tax collectors and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like seasteading, but sandsteading.
Yeah. They
unleash the ostriches and like run away, and then there's this argument where Tamina keeps telling Dastan, "Give me the dagger," and it's like, "Oh, he stabbed her." No, he stabbed the guy behind her. They're fine.
Yeah. Also,
weird scene.
I will mention, just because like he showed up, there is like this Sudanese warrior named Sesso who is really, really good with throwing knives, and like he's got a life debt to Shikamaru. So he's like his main guy. Just want to go over that quick.
Yes, those two are important.
Let me see. Okay, yeah, so they get to like Avrat. They're like disguised as foreign dignitaries, or no. I'm not sure what I wrote down.
I think they just like have cloaks.
Yeah,
but there are foreign dignitaries. Here's where I start going insane again. Among the people present, somebody name drops the Mughals, I believe, or the Mughals, who historically were like, to my understanding, they were basically a steppe tribe in Persia, and then they conquered North India, but also, that was in like the 1500s or 1600s or something.
Interesting.
And everything else about this movie seems like it has to predate like the rise of Islam in the Middle East. So like, I don't know why they did this.
Yeah.
It's like so many decisions in this movie just like confuse me. It's like they wanted to just it's a fantasy story, don't worry about it. But also they wanted to establish all these specific, like, little nods to things that just confuse the issue.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably the only person who would actually care about this, because I'm, like, a history dweeb to some extent. But
it's interesting to hear about.
It's just fucking weird. I don't know why they made these choices. Dastan has the sacred dagger in his ass, by the way.
Yeah. Eventually, like, Dastan, like, meets up with, he's, like, doing some parkour and, like, ends up in, like, the, funeral procession where Charmin is being taken. Like, he's, like, facing the, like, covered up corpse. He slips a note to his uncle explaining what's going on, and they, like, sneak around and meet up somewhere private.
This is where I became certain that this movie is about the Iraq War, because they have, like, an exchange about how our allies will see the search for Alamut's weapons forges as important. Yes, but not if there are none.
He's got, Dastan, like, as they're, like, having this conversation, realizes that Nazim's hands are burned, and he's getting really suspicious, cause why are his hands burned? They shouldn't be, unless he was handling some weird substances that burn skin. And then he gets ambushed. But he's able to do some parkour, and we get an escape sequence. He, like, runs past a room full of attractive women. They, like, get questioned. We also see Garcev, and they, like, have a fight. Dawson's able to get away, though.
Yeah, the fight doesn't really go much of anywhere. Yeah. I will say, excuse me, I do like most of the escape sequence. I did notice that this movie was definitely released in 3D, because there are a lot of moments where it's just like, oh, that arrow's coming right at me! Whoa! But also, this is about the point where, like, I started to lose patience with the movie's action sequences, because it's kind of starting to feel like a one-trick pony. It's like parkour, short fight, conversation with dangerous subtext, more parkour, bad romantic banter, ad infinitum. And none of it really has enough character to... I'm trying to think of the right word. To like, leave an impact, you know?
Yeah, to resonate and stuff like that. Like, I think towards the back half, it starts to become like a decent enough, like, adventure movie, but anyways, so, we see, like, I think, like, Nazim is, like, manipulating Tuss to, like, avoid giving Dastan a trial and to just kill him.
This is actually, like, a really interesting scene to me. Because the people here are, like, acting in it, and it feels like there was at least an attempt to give it some layers. Because, like, Tuss and Nazim are both, like, they are being cordial to each other, but there's a sort of tension, and meanwhile Garciv is, like, silent and seems really apprehensive during the whole thing, and I'm wondering if, like, maybe he's starting to doubt the official narrative.
Right.
Tuss establishes that, like, he wants to be a good and just king, and he seems to be earnest about it, but also, like, earlier we established he was a huge douchebag, so that kind of undercuts this whole thing. But yeah, honestly, this scene feels like it is taken out of a better version of this movie. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is immediately undercut by some more shit that makes me so mad. So, we cut to the lair of the Hassansins. Now, let me be clear. They are Persian assassins, and they love to do drugs. But, they're not the assassins. And I know this because, 1, why the fuck would you call them the Hassansins? 2, they're not an Alamut. And 3, I'm still pretty sure this movie takes place in the Bronze Age, maybe?
Maybe.
But what I want to know is, why would you give them such a similar fucking name?
I don't know.
It's just a strange choice. It's like if in Star Wars the Empire was called, like, the Botsees. Like, either go all the way or, like, make them their own thing. What are you doing?
That's really fascinating. I love that.
Also, the leader of the Hassansins, who I guess is Hassan, I don't know, he does just, like, straight up have the spice eyes from Dune.
Yeah.
Did you notice this?
Yes, I did. He's got, like, fucked up blue eyes, like Sans Undertale, and he's got snakes, and he's got a fucked up face. He's got, like, burns or something, or bite marks. Do you think his snakes just bit him a bunch? And they bit him and he liked it.
Listen, if I get bitten by snakes enough, I'll be strong. But yeah, no, he's actually just doing it because, like, you know, maybe he thinks it feels a little good. Maybe he's into
nice. It just feels nice. So he talks about how he can see death, or no, wait, or is that Dastan? I'm sorry, but, like, Dastan finds Tamina. He's been poisoned by Nizam, and he wants answers. So Tamina gives some exposition.
Yeah, she talks about how, like, there's this magic glass artifact. It's not an hourglass, but it is a glass thing that contains sand.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why they didn't just go all the way, honestly. There's this magic thing called a sand glass that holds the sands of time which fuel the dagger. Nazim's plot, he's played by Ben Kingsley, so in all my notes I just called him, like, Uncle Ben Kingsley.
You can call him
that. His plot is essentially to reverse time to a moment in his childhood when he saved the king's life while they were out hunting. Mm-hmm. This time, he just won't do that, so the king will die, and he'll get to ascend the throne instead. But if he tries that, it'll just destroy the world, so that's not good.
Yeah. There's also, like, an order of, like, people who are, like, tasked with, like, guarding the sand glass and the dagger, and Tamina's one of them. It's, like, a long line of people who started with, like, this one little girl who, like, begged the gods not to destroy the world with the sands. And they are going to, like, a sort of, like, home base for or maybe an away base, some location where they all live. Let's see. This is around when Jack Sparrow shows up again with his ostrich.
Mm-hmm.
They're like ambushing them, but like he's like Jack Sparrow goes on about like how the ostrich is gonna kill itself, so he's gotta like watch it and make sure it doesn't do that.
It's a weird bit.
Yeah. They camp out for the night and they get attacked by snakes.
Dastan has managed to refill the dagger with some sand that Tamina was keeping around her neck.
Yeah.
In a little vial kind of thing.
Yes.
So he manages to convince Sesso to undo his bonds and give him the dagger. And just before he's about to get snake bitten to death, he skips time back. He manages to fight them off.
Mm-hmm. And
the following morning, he and Tamina are like, if y'all help us out on this, we can get you riches or whatever. And since he's Jack Sparrow, he's like, all right, Gov, I'm on your side now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
We cut to them arriving at this sanctuary. But the whole village around this like temple area was wiped out by the Hassansins. But some of the Hassansins are dead, which is convenient, but nope, they're not. They're faking it. They get ambushed. Garciv is also here, so Dustan's trying to like convince him about what's going on.
Mm-hmm. But just as he talks him down, tragically, there's another Hassansin ambush, and he gets shot.
Yeah. So we get some fighting. We see that the Hassansins also have like these like thrown darts. They're like shot out of gauntlets,
mm-hmm.
which I gotta say, cool weapon.
The like shot gloves are pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. There's like a cool bit where like Sesso throws a broken sword into a guy's helmet. Dustan gets like these, I think they're like blades attached to ropes or something. And Garciv is able to save Dustan with his dying breaths.
Mm-hmm.
The fucked up guy from before, they realize they're missing the dagger, and the fucked up guy from before, brings
his snake ate it.
Yeah, he brings it the snake ate it, so he brings the snake to Nazim and like cuts it open, showing off the dagger. We get,
I do want to say there's one thing that we glossed over that I want to touch on.
Yeah.
So when Dastan and Tamina got into the sanctuary briefly, Tamina was basically planning to kill herself in order to seal away the dagger, and Dastan stops her because I guess he loves her or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm about to go on a tangent of a tangent, but give me a second first. So we actually get this really good shot where she is surreptitiously moving the dagger towards its sacred receptacle or whatever, even as they're going in for the kiss. And I love that.
Yeah.
In a movie where I actually, bought the romance between these two, I think I would like this scene a lot. Unfortunately, all their banter fucking sucks.
Yeah, they're just mean to each other, and eventually they like each other.
This is negative chemistry. I don't know how they made it this bad.
So let's see what they get to. I think they get at some point. They just end up at Alamut or something, because I feel like there's just a chunk missing from my notes. But
no, I do think that right after that they just go to Alamut, because it's okay, well they have the dagger now. The next logical move is going to be for Ben Kingsley to go underneath Alamut where the sand glass is, so we need to go cut him off before he can do that.
Right.
When they get there, Sesso goes to open a pair of Dark Souls doors, and he has a throwing knife fight. So put on your 3D glasses it hurts, this fight. With the knife guy who killed Garciv. I will say this is kind of a cool scene.
I do like this fight.
I think this fight is the high point of the movie, because it's just them
they're just...
It's them taking cover behind pillars as they throw knives at each other. It kind of fucking rules.
Yeah, there's this... the climax of the fight is Sesso managing to throw his throwing knife right into the guy's chest, and then he looks down, and there's just four spikes in his chest. I fucking love that. And he's now he knows he's gonna die, but he's got the dagger, and he's really good at throwing knives, so his final actions is him grabbing the dagger and throwing it out the window. It lands in the tree next to where the main characters are, and he dies.
This is so funny. How could he have known it wouldn't hit something? What if there had been a bird? What if they just got a dead dove with that knife?
I feel like what makes this compelling to me as an adventure story is it does feel like some sort of D&D adventure, and this does seem like something that you would just allow to happen because it's fucking cool.
That is very true.
And so they've got the dagger, and let's see.
Shikamaru rides forth. He's disguised as Dastan so that he can be a decoy. And then Dastan and Tamina manage to get to the palace chambers where Tuss is. I will say I don't know why Tuss is here.
Yeah.
Shouldn't he be at the capital?
I don't know why he's here. You're right.
I guess maybe he's still looking for the forges.
Yeah, you gotta find them. Or maybe they're really hidden. He's gotta he's gotta figure out some point and click adventure puzzles. He's got to do a sliding block puzzle to figure out where they are. It's real complicated.
No, you know what he's there? He's there for a portrait op in front of a banner that says in Phoenician, mission accomplished.
Oh, yeah, he's doing that. Yeah.
So yeah, Dastan manages to take his brother hostage just so he can talk to him. Tusk doesn't believe what he's saying about the Sands of Time or about their uncle being the one that wanted the king dead. So Dastan decides that the best way to untangle this is to stab himself so that Tusk will be like, oh shit, I better press the time travel button and I hope it works. He does do that. I do think it would have been funny if he dithered long enough that like there wasn't enough sand to pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well shit, he was telling the truth, but now it's just a regular dagger. Oh well. Anyway, this all becomes immediately irrelevant, because like as soon as Tusk is like, yes, you were right, I'm sorry for the trouble, brother, Ben Kingsley shows up and he just like stabs him.
Yeah. Just gets
and
him.
Hassanson pins Dastan to the floor.
Mm-hmm. So now that he's got the dagger again, he's gonna go to the sandglass chamber. He's gonna turn back time, set things just the way he wants it. Let's see. How does Dastan get away? I'm looking here.
I was genuinely unclear on this. Like, I know that Tamina helped him somehow, but like...
Oh, right. She sneaks up behind, like, the assassin and, like, I think, like, attacks him, and this gives Dastan the opportunity to, like, take him out. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they find out that, hey, the assassins have, at least this assassin has the, like, hand painting that, like, proves he's part of the Order. He's one of the Guardians. They turned on her. So that's...
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah? What's...
That doesn't mean...
I'm not
so the Hassansins don't... They're just doing this because, like, their boss has a contract with Nazim, right?
Yeah.
So isn't it, like, really weird to draw attention to this when, if they hadn't been hired, he wouldn't have betrayed... Like, it's not like the Hassansins, as an organization, have been trying to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, the only sort of backstory we get for the Hassansins is they were, like, they were, like, a military force, an assassin force, who just, gotten rid of, but are, like, still around. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe he, like, had them, maybe he was the one that was, like, delivering the fake weapons or something? I don't know.
I suppose that's possible.
So they, like, get to the... So, Nazim is taking an elevator, while, Dastan and Tamina have to take the long way, which is through a, puzzle dungeon.
Yeah, you remember in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where it's like, in the Latin alphabet, Jehovah is spelled with an I. I shouldn't have said that. It's the fucking Sabbath. I'm embarrassing myself. But yeah, it's that. You know, there's tiles, and you gotta step on the right tiles, and Dastan ends up stepping on one of the wrong tiles, and everything starts crumbling, and there's a sand slide. And this is where, in the video game, it would shift to, like, a third-person behind-the-back perspective, and you gotta, like, slide left and right to dodge obstacles and pick up collectibles and so on.
Mm-hmm.
They do manage to get to, like, this cliffside overlooking the sand glass. The lead, Hassanson, shows up, and he does kick Dastan's ass.
Yes, very much so. Thankfully, Tamina is able to save Dastan by getting the snake to bite the guy again, and this time for good.
Yeah, I guess he comes so hard that he just falls off the cliff.
Exactly. So after witnessing such an erotic act, they make out.
This is such a weird way to kiss. Like, it's like she's trying to eat his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a movie that, like, has the romantic leads just kiss wrong.
Listen, I don't think they know. I don't think... Maybe the director's never been kissed.
Maybe it was different back in, like, ancient Persian times.
They were still figuring
Persian
it
times
out.
or whatever. You know, kissing technology is actually, it wasn't fully developed until even after the industrial era. You know, back in the 1860s or whatever, Britain was, you know, the streets were full of people, like, trying to figure out how it works. Maybe if I, like, kiss your elbow? No, that's not nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we live in a more enlightened time now.
Yeah. So, they reach the glass. Dastan confronts Nazim and, Nazim just pretty much takes him out, like, knocks him over. He's about to fall off a cliff. Tamina is, like, holding on. Yes.
Yeah, he's dangling from the precipice. Tamina is clinging to his wrist. And it's that old thing where, like, I need to let go so that you can climb up. And he's like, no, don't do that. I love you, apparently. But she does. And so this part is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Dastan climbs back up onto the cliff. Nazim has already stabbed the sand glass and unleashed, like, a really badly made montage.
Right.
And then Dastan, he, like, activates the dagger, which I thought was already active, and because he does that, he time reverses the time reversal, and it happens to bring him back to when he first picked up the dagger.
Yeah. I don't know. It's certainly convenient.
Yeah, like, no, this is a huge Deus Ex Machina, and, like, It is... I understand why this is the logical endpoint for the story that they're telling. I don't think it's the wrong choice from that perspective.
Yeah.
I just don't think it makes sense from, like, how this works perspective.
Right. There's not much internal logic, just... He just gets to go back to the start of the movie. So he, like, now knowing everything that just happened, exposes the truth. He gets Tuss to, like, listen to him. Nizam, having his plan exposed, fights Dastan. Dastan wins. Tuss talks with Tamina, and you know what? This time I'm not going to murder her. Dastan, you can go marry her.
Yeah, he says, you should. My brother is a loyal and kind and just man, a true Prince of Persia 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dastan gives the dagger back to Tamina, playing it off like it's a dowry, which is a good bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we close out on them having some slightly less agonizing banter.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. We get a little bit more papyrus font to close it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as rating goes, I can't rate it as an adaptation. I never played the game.
As a movie, it's like... it's like... 2 feels too harsh, but 3 feels too nice, you know?
I get you. Like, I think it eventually gets into a groove of being a decent adventure movie. And I settled with 2 because I figured, you know what? If maybe I would give it a 3 if they didn't choose to just have all of these Middle Eastern people played by white people. So
I would probably give it a 3 if, like, the action sequence were just a little bit more well-conceived. A lot of this movie feels first draft, and I think the action sequences, which should be the high point, really emphasize that.
Yeah.
I would also like it if they decided whether they were going for a historical setting or a fantastic one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm giving it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, 2 out of 5 sounds about right.
Alright. So, let me see if we got any questions. If you want to send in a question, you can either respond to our monthly tweets announcing the movie for the month, or you can send in questions in our Discord. Our Twitter is at VGTMTP. Our Discord is linked in the Twitter. We've got one Twitter question, one Discord question. Our Twitter question is from Mike Channels Lightning at Mike Loves Rabbit, who asks, if you had a time dagger, would you stab time? I mean, you gotta.
Time is a piece. I'm sick of time. Time is gonna get what's coming to it. It'll be lucky if I stab it once.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, if everything is time and all you have is a time dagger, you gotta stab it.
Everything is time, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's how relativity works?
Yeah.
Because, like, space is time? Or does space curve time? Or does time curve space? I forget how all that shit works.
I'm sure I'm sure someone knows, but it's not me.
I mean, they must be, at the very least, very closely linked, or else they would not call it a continuum. They'd call it, like, a disjunction.
Right. Kitty Cat Herder asks on Twitter, or not Twitter, on Discord, do you enjoy time travel in stories? If so, do you like it affecting reality in smaller butterfly effect ways, or straight up Back to the Future flying into the 1950s on a flying car? I would say generally of the two, I prefer just hop to another time period, but I did also recently watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that is perhaps the best way you could ever tell a movie, and particularly one about butterfly effect time travel.
I really need to see that movie. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It fucking rules. How about you?
I like time travel narratives in general. I think the thing about butterfly effect stories to me is that it's very easy to do them badly. Like, I often think of, you know the story A Sound of Thunder?
Right.
I often think about how, like, the effects of a small change in the prehistoric, like, dinosaur times is somehow English orthography is different.
Mm-hmm.
And a fascist becomes president of the United States, but biology and society otherwise seem completely unaltered. And, like, that's insane, right?
Right. I feel like it's gotta have, like, there has to be a much clearer connection, you know?
Yeah, it's the same reason I have an issue with, like, mirror universes in sci-fi settings rather than more fantastic ones. Because it's like, once you do start introducing these changes, logically they're going to snowball until the point where the world is completely alien.
Right.
So I think for a more butterfly effect one to work, you really need to nail the window and size of the initial change for it to, like, be believable to me, I suppose.
Right. I will note, Everything Everywhere All at Once mostly just deals with, in terms of, like, alternate universe stuff, I'd say it mostly focuses on, like, individual actions for individual people, but there are, like, some high concept ones too but I feel like the high concept ones even as silly as they can be, at least have, like, some, like, establishing point. Some clear establishing point. Yeah. So, that is our questions. And it's time to decide what's going on for next month. I've personally already decided because... this podcast is now 1 year old. We started in May of 2021 with the Super Mario Brothers movie, and for our actual May episode, I found out about a recent development and stuff, and we can watch another Mario movie, not the new cut, but we are going to watch the animated Mario film. Let me look up the name because it's in Japanese. Let's see. It is Super Mario Brothers Peach Hime Kyushutsu Daisakusen, otherwise known as The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. We might have a guest on. There was someone who asked way in the beginning if they could be on this, and I'll see if they're still available. So, yeah. That's gonna be our next movie. Yeah, it, like, very recently got an HD upload onto the Internet Archive.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
With subtitles and everything?
Yeah, with subtitles and everything. By a group, very amusingly named Femboy Films. That's everything I gotta go over. Let's see. Let's do plugs.
Sure thing. As I said at the top of the show, I'm Maxie. You can find me on Twitter and Tumblr at MaxKnightley. That's MaxKnightley. I am on another couple podcasts. One is Eidolon Playtest. That is an actual play podcast where we are trying out a system that a couple of my friends wrote, drawing a lot of inspiration from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Persona. A lot of psychic battles. Currently, we are between the main seasons. We're doing some interludes. I actually recorded the first episode of Eidolon Crush, where all the Eidolons are named after Crush 40 songs, yesterday.
Oh, that sounds good. I gotta listen to that.
I am really looking forward to it. That's sort of a game of death thing with augmented reality. Set in Boston, where I used to live. I'm having fun with it. Drawing inspiration from a lot of different sources, and I can't wait to see where it goes. You can also find me on Drain the Swamp, which is a podcast where my boyfriend Zach and I are watching MASH.
Fuck yeah.
Old show about doctors in the Korean War, kind of like a tragicomedy dealing with the horrors of war and also the horrors of not having enough booze. You can find that at player.fm/series/Drain the Swamp.
I'm already putting it in. I'm Dan. You can find me at a lot of places, and you can find all those places at linktr.ee/big_challenges. From there, you can find my Twitter, at Bigger Challenge. You can find my YouTube channel, Big Challenges. I've been uploading episodes of a Fallout 4 Let's Play with just lots and lots of mods on it. You can find my other podcasts, which include Pod of Greed. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast. We're making our way through the back half of Season 3, and also we're gonna be having a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament, that'll be live streamed, called The Cup of Greed. Really looking forward to that. You can also listen to the Sonic Shuffle, a random and holistic Sonic lore podcast. We recently recorded an episode on Sonic Adventure 2, and it was incredibly fun to discuss. We only got a little bit into it because there was just so much to talk about. But it's so good. I I can't wait until I get another opportunity to talk about it. We're also gonna, I don't know when this will go up, hopefully soon, but we're also gonna be, streaming Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on there, since it is now, available, quote unquote, for streaming, quote unquote. That's it from there. You can listen to my finished podcast, Chill Bleed, about Ill Bleed, and my inactive podcast, Stranger's Fiction, which is an actual play. Last but not least, visit at Xbox_holiday, where Usher celebrates holidays with Xbox. The day after we record this is Mother's Day, so happy MILF Sunday, Xbox.
Fuck. I wasn't ready for that one.
Yeah, so, until next time, I'm Dan.
I'm Maxie.
And this ain't no game.